Hey everybody, I'm Eboni K. Williams along with Eric Bolling and Kat Timpf, and this is the Fox News Specialist. Another very busy news day with major developments in the showdown over repealing and replacing Obamacare in the Senate. Now, just a short time ago, the Senate rejected a repeal-only proposal that would defund many key parts of Obamacare. The vote, 55 noes to only 45 yeses. There were 7 Republican defections. We're also awaiting remarks from President Trump at the White House. The president is scheduled to make an announcement on jobs. We'll go straight to that as soon as he starts speaking. But in the meantime, today's slog in the Senate is showcasing the uphill battle that Republicans face on health care and getting a bill through. So, Eric, we have talked about this ad nauseum. I know you had some very specific ideas yesterday about what the GOP could do at this point. Are you surprised, disappointed at the inability to even pass clean repeal?
Extremely disappointed. I think I figured out what's going to go on here. So John McCain rushes back and votes against repealing. I think I figured this out. I think there's going to be nothing. The Senate will do whatever they can, maybe get something together, throw it back to the House. There's going to be no health care bill. So what ends up happening, 2018, a year away, the midterm elections 1 year away. The Senate is in good shape for the GOP. They could pick up 5 or 6 seats, even with a failed health care situation going here. The House may be in a little bit of jeopardy, but if you do pick up 5 additional Republican seats, you can get rid of these squishes that voted against it. They were elected to go and repeal and replace Obamacare, and they can't even vote to repeal it. McCain, Murkowski, Portman, Capito, Alexander, Heller, and Collins, you guys should all be primaried next time you're up for election. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the specific names, Kat. John McCain, yesterday, many in the GOP hailing him a hero for rushing back, of course, from a critical illness that we know he's suffering with, to at least vote for discussion. But then, of course, as Eric's pointing out today, voting against the actual repeal.
Right. As you pointed out, I think a lot of people are very concerned about the potential political implications or other implications, real-life implications as well, of people not having health care when if Obamacare is just repealed, and that everything would kind of just go nuts if that were to happen. It's a vote that I personally disagree with.
Why would things go nuts?
I think the perception.
I just said I personally disagree with it.
You mean the perception from some people is that it would go nuts?
Sure, I think so, and there could be consequences. I'm not exactly sure about that. The way that I understand it is that would be a gradual thing, and it wouldn't all go nuts like that. But I think that mostly, yes, a perception type of thing. People don't want to just repeal and have nothing out there. I disagree with it. If I were somebody who was in the Senate and I had run on repealing Obamacare, I would have voted to repeal Obamacare today.
Well, we'll get to more of that. Let's first meet today's specialist. She's worked at our U.S. embassies in both Baghdad and Riyadh, and she's a foreign policy and national security analyst, and she's the national co-chair of the Maverick PAC, so obviously she specializes in all things foreign policy. Morgan Ortagus is here. And she's a Fox News political analyst, a recent candidate for the DNC chair position, and the former president of the Women's Media Center, but she specializes in singing Dolly Parton songs. Jehmu Greene is here. We have to get some tunes from you in a bit, Jehmu. But Morgan, yes, and many have said that the GOP just seems incredibly far apart on this. So is there any real hope around passing anything involving health care? We know that they got to debate last night, but is there going to be a bill?
Who knows, right? I mean, you'd be a billionaire if you could figure out if you're going to have a bill or not. I actually am a little bit more hopeful than Eric, because I do think a lot of people are frustrated with the president for calling out Senator Murkowski. I actually think, this president is different from everyone else in politics, and he's going to use the leverage that he has in order to get a bill passed. The bottom line is we can't go into the 2018 elections. Republicans cannot go into the midterms saying, give us 5 or 6 more seats in the Senate so that we can pass the bills that we want to pass, because we weren't able to do it last year because we didn't have enough seats. I mean, that's a really convoluted message. And quite frankly,
is a better message, Morgan, we couldn't get anything together?
No.
Or is a better message on top of that, we got something together and it's worse than Obamacare?
Well, if the president and the Senate leadership and the House leadership have a bill that they can ultimately agree on and vote on, then we should be able to defend that bill.
The Senate can't get their act together. Then they have to send that bill in conference to the House. House has to vote on it and then send it back to the Senate for final approval.
And the House had kind of a tough time getting it together as well.
Are we really under the impression that they're going to be able to make this process happen? anytime soon?
It doesn't look like it, and one of the problems is that insurers have to set their 2018 rates in a couple weeks. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the insurance market. I would say Republicans have no choice. I know it looks dire. I know this bill, it lives, it dies, it goes from the Senate to the House. It's incredibly frustrating for everyone involved. But I would argue that Republicans have no choice but to stay here, don't go away for August recess until they get this right.
All right.
How do you ask for more seats in 2018 without passing?
Oh, you'll get them. You're going to get them.
Talking about
Even if it fails, even if healthcare fails, you get tax reform on the books. You'll get 4 or 5 seats in the Senate, and you get rid of some of these squishy Republicans that voted against repealing. Can you believe this?
All right, Jehmu. Bolling predicting something very optimistic for the GOP. I'm going to take a gander that maybe you see it differently. We know for 7 years the GOP has talked about repealing and replacing Obamacare. Here is their grand opportunity to do so, and yet we see hysteria.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any disagreement between Democrats and Republicans that healthcare is still broken. Even the namesake of Obamacare, President Obama, he was very clear that it needed to be fixed. And this is a real opportunity for politicians, the senators, to prioritize purpose over politics. And when I ran for the DNC chair, one of the things that I really try to focus on is prioritizing that purpose, but also the substance of it. When you think of the discussion that's going on here in this conversation and all over cable news, it's all about how the sausage is made. It's all about the numbers of what to get to the votes. However you think about health care, since Obamacare, there are 20 million more Americans who have health care. We need to talk about the substance. We need to talk about what are in
health insurance.
How many of those are on new Medicare and Medicaid recipients?
It's still health care.
No, I think
what are
the
you
actual
going to
number's
do?
around 9
What are you going to
million,
do? Say you have it today,
9
but you're not going to
million.
have
But
it
also,
tomorrow.
health insurance and healthcare are different. I have friends that are on Obamacare, so they have health insurance, but a lot of places won't take it.
But
I needed to go to the
Eric and
hospital, and we went to all these different hospitals.
Yeah.
Nobody takes it. So having health insurance isn't the same as health care.
Right, and I think many people are clear on that, but let's just play the semantics out here. Jehmu, I think for a lot of people, Eric, we can talk about Medicaid, whatever. They just know that they've got something. And so for those people that feel that if you take it away, you don't replace it with something, though, Eric, I mean, I'm just think about what the ads are going to look like. Think about what the messaging is going to look like in 2018.
You replace it with something better, and you're working on something better than Obamacare. Remember, I'll give you another number, Jehmu. 0, the number of Republicans that voted for Obamacare. And now look at you, one of the most liberal Democrats on the planet saying Obamacare is a failure. Is a failure.
On the planet, not
Yeah,
not
no,
just
no,
the
I'm not
country,
kidding.
but the planet.
Am I wrong? I don't think I'm even joking about this. You're one of the more progressive people I've ever met in my life. I love you, but you are now admitting that Obamacare is a failure 7 years later. We were telling you that 7 years ago, but you guys pushed it through.
That's nothing new. Like I said, President Obama was saying to Republicans for years, come together with us. Let's fix this. Basically, the same thing now that Chuck Schumer is saying. The same thing that Senator McCain said in that glorious
McConnell
speech.
is saying, come over cross the line, Democrats. We have the House and the Senate. You need to cross the line and come work with us. And it doesn't sound like Schumer nor Pelosi want to do any of that either.
Well, Schumer did say, Eric, yesterday, he sat on the floor with his glasses on the tip of his nose, that certainly we want to work with you. He made a plea, Morgan, to moderate Republicans to hold out on this type of bill for something that actually looks better, some type of modification or fix.
No, he wants to keep
fix Obamacare. He wants to fix Obamacare.
That won't fly. That bird don't fly.
We're also passionate about healthcare because it affects every single one of us, and it's this important. I was talking to people on the Hill before I came on air. There's still amendments that the Congress is working on, and I think that the senators that are there that are working on this bill should continue to do it. I mean, don't just walk away from this vote and be mad and not pass something. Senator Cassidy and Senator Graham have a bill about that the governors really like about giving block grants to the state. We could get in the weeds on this, but the bottom line is
okay. Stay right there. And then that goes to the House. What does the Freedom Caucus in the House say about that?
Well, then the president needs to get the House in line. I mean, we can't have this
let's
where
be
people
honest.
feel
The
like
Freedom Caucus says no. We're not passing that in the House.
Then they need to get in line and support this president somehow. But the Republican Party is acting like two different parties, and whether it's the House Freedom Caucus or it's moderates in the Senate,
are they
both sides need to come together.
Or are they two different parties?
They are, and they're embarrassing the president in the process.
No, it's not president. You can't say that. This is not on the president whatsoever. This is leadership in the House and leadership in the Senate who've put these two bills together, frankly, on their own. The House bill was never even allowed. Senators weren't even allowed to see the House bill, let alone the other constituents within the House. This isn't on the presidency. You can't do that. Listen, you can say the Republicans are bifurcated, and they are. But the president is simply saying, Get me something that I can get to the American people that's better than Obamacare. And they failed at the House. They're failing at the Senate.
The way that
right
the
now.
government is set up, executive and legislative branches are different. So, of course, he's not going to be writing this bill. I agree with you, Eric, that this should be placed on Congress. Blame should be placed on Congress for this. But a lot of it, like I've been saying, the GOP is having an identity crisis. A lot of them are way more moderate than the GOP of the past, to the point where they're actually like the Democrats of the past. And some aren't. So I don't know how you reconcile those two. I really don't. No matter if you have 7 more years, I don't know if you ever reconcile them.
You repeal now, and you work to replace it with something better.
Eric, we just saw today 2 years. That was what the idea. That was put on the floor. You get 2 years to replace it with something better. Your words. They voted that down.
And
well,
you know why they voted
McCain,
it down, Eric?
McCain, Murkowski, Portman, Capito, Alexander, Heller, and Collins voted it down.
Do you know why they voted it down? It's because since that original vote, when President Obama was in the White House, more and more people have started to love Obamacare. There is no other more hated piece of legislation than Trumpcare right now.
Have constituents that are in favor of keeping Obamacare?
Yes.
Because if you go to the election
they've been hearing
in
from
2018,
them. They've been hearing a tidal wave of calls in their districts from them. And Morgan, you said this is about the Republicans getting in line to support the president. I'm sorry. Healthcare is not about supporting the president, whoever is in the White House. It is about these members who have been elected in their districts and representing hundreds of thousands of people who have now gotten health care since Obamacare passed.
But you can't
and looking at them in their face and saying, I'm going to strip this from you without any alternative.
That's what Trump said, though, Eric. Isn't that what Trump said? Didn't Donald Trump say, if you vote no on this, you are saying Obamacare is working and you are supporting Obamacare? I bet
you every last penny I have that not one of these 7 senators will ever run on, I want to keep Obamacare.
He did say that,
But Trump said that, though, right, Kat?
No, but the senators didn't. The senators didn't. He said effectively, you're voting to keep effectively.
Right.
Of course they are, but individually, you want to run on. I voted against repealing Obamacare.
Right.
That's a losing proposition in the GOP.
They wouldn't, and I don't think they want that. They just are scared of the alternative because they don't know what that is.
Whose fault is that, though, Morgan? Like, let's just break this down. Whose fault is it that after 7 years, the GOP has this opportunity? And I agree with Jim. I've been very critical of Obamacare. I don't like the mandate, and I don't like the premiums. Let's bring them down. In the meantime, nothing's better is really on the table. Nothing's polling better. The CBC scores look a mess. It's just not where it needs to be.
It's every single elected Republican official's fault, all of them, right? And it's all of us who are involved in the process. We can try to blame Democrats. We have power in both parties of Congress, in the White House, and we have to come to an agreement on this. So, we can say it's these 7 senators' fault, it's this senator's fault, it's everybody, because whether you're in the House Freedom Caucus, whether you're a moderate, no one is coming together.
They passed this same bill in 2015. They got it to the president's desk, who vetoed this bill. Now 7 of them say, I'm no longer on board. It's the same thing.
Right, but the debate isn't over, Eric. I mean, they're still in the Senate tonight voting on this.
No, they failed. It failed. They got 45 votes. It failed. It went down.
So no matter what else happens, you think it's a failure?
The straight repeal they passed in 2015, 18 months ago, everyone was on board. They got it to the president's desk. He had to veto it. Otherwise, it was going to become the law of the land. Where are those 7 senators who voted in favor? I'm sorry, 6 of the 7 who voted in favor of it in 2015. Why are they against it now?
I would just say, remember the...
One reason why.
I think you explained it. Because,
I don't know, but I would say remember the...
Because now there's no one to veto it, and they'll be held responsible for something bad happening.
It's
about not wanting to be responsible.
Those senators.
It's about wanting to run and just using these things, talking points, blah, 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 but not having any real answers.
Nope.
But don't forget sequestration and what happened to the military. I mean, this is something we have evidence before that we've done these sorts of measures in Congress, and then we still have sequestration right now because the Congress was never able to come together. So I think I would guess that that's some of the fears of the people who voted against it today. I'm not defending it. I think that they have to get a bill together, or they do not deserve to win in 2020.
I'll tell you what, they will be primary.
It was all about talk. When the reality sets in and there are real lives at stake, that's why they voted against it. And there are too many lives at stake.
Political will. We're going to take a quick break, but we are keeping an eye on that jobs announcement from President Trump. And when it begins, we will go straight to it. But up next, will an expected launch of criminal leaks investigation be enough for AG Jeff Sessions to keep his job? Stay tuned.
President Trump is supposed to deliver a jobs announcement at the White House any moment now. Eric, this is a big thing. This is one of the big reasons why a lot of people voted for President Trump. Jobs and the economy.
Yeah, and as the mainstream media focuses on Russia, this is what's really going on. Jobs numbers have been fantastic. This is some news that we found out, we've been hearing about, that Apple uses an outside vendor to make this LED screens for the iPhone. Foxconn is one of the vendors, probably their biggest vendor. They're going to open up some manufacturing plants, I believe, in Wisconsin. I think that's what this is going to be all about. But that's great news. It's starting out supposedly like 3,000 high-paying American jobs. Now, these things had been built in China through Foxconn and other countries. They're bringing them back to America. 3,000 jobs, I understand now, maybe up to 13,000 going forward. This is just what it's all about for Donald Trump.
This is where President Trump looks strong, right? I agree, Kat. This is why most people that voted for President Trump voted for him absent political experience, because he's the business guy. He's the guy that knows how to make a deal and get things done. Certainly, I think when he first got elected, there were a couple of automobile manufacturers that either kept plants here or came back to their manufacturing home bases here in the United States. And this is the type of thing that he absolutely should be talking about, holding rallies about, doing everything he can to energize base, get more political capital. To my view, Morgan, that I think he spent some political capital in all of these health care losses. But, you know, Eric, ultimately, this is a good thing for President Trump to be doing at this point.
Very good thing. Very good thing. What, Morgan, we're watching, I think we're looking at the president. He's about to hit the podium. Again, let's remind everyone, this plant is likely going to be in Wisconsin. Paul Ryan comes from Wisconsin. Reince Priebus from Wisconsin. Has Scott Walker also from Wisconsin. Also been a supporter, I guess, a recent supporter of Donald Trump. We see Vice President Pence there as well. Jehmu, this is hard to argue with when you look at the economic numbers with President Trump.
I hope he has a great present for President Obama under the Christmas tree in December. You have to give Obama credit for giving him a strong enough economy, driving these jobs numbers. And you know what would be great for him?
You have to give him credit, too. President Trump has removed a lot of the regulatory burden that's kept businesses from wanting to be.
One of them that he's removed is, I'm sorry, I don't want to eat chicken from China accidentally. And 2 weeks ago, chicken from China hit our shores. 4 out of 10 out of their thousands of chicken processing plants fail their safety regulations.
That's Trump's fault?
Well, because
you had that
he opened it up. He opened it up. And the fact that food safety and labeling, those are things that make America great right now.
But why did he open it up? Because our beef exports for the first time went into China, which was a huge economic move. That's something that people working in the beef industry, farmers, have wanted for a very long time. So one of the most important things about this tech jobs announcement is these are the jobs of the future that we're going to need. The most important thing, I mean, listen, I'm working with industrial IoT and with robotics on a daily basis. This type of stuff that we're hearing about, that's the future of the job market for millennials, for young people, I'm working with it right now on a daily basis. So the most important thing that government can do when it relates to autonomous vehicles, for example, is get out of the way. Don't overregulate these industries so that way we can still continue to innovate and lead.
I think that's great. I will say this, Jehmu. I do think that it's interesting that now we are all collectively celebrating the improved job numbers under President Trump, when for a long time there was a pushback and there was questioning around the increased job numbers that we did see under the Obama administration that, you know, proceeded to trickle up throughout the tenure of the administration.
Up, all the way through President Trump's inauguration. But the thing is, when you look at what President Trump is doing, whether it comes to removing those regulations, I'm sorry, I want to eat food that is safe.
Listen, all chicken aside, this issue is much bigger.
The industry wants this, and you know what the best thing he could do? The best thing he could do is say every single product with a Trump brand on it is going to be made in America. Can we get that?
All chicken issues aside, it's no secret that your regulations stop economic growth. That's not a secret. That's not debatable. You have a little chicken issue, which will be solved, and all of that. But overall, that's really not a debatable thing.
Business owners, homeowners invest for the future, not what happened last year or 8 years ago. They go, what's the environment going to be looking like going forward? Donald Trump, one of the first things he did while he's rolling back regulation is he dropped the regulations on our energy markets. For the first time ever, we're exporting liquefied natural gas. Our production is way up. We're going to be a net exporter of energy. We used to be at the mercy of countries that despise us, who wanted to kill us. Now we're flipping the script on them because of Donald Trump, and it has nothing to do with Barack Obama.
He is a master media manipulator. I will give him. I will give him that.
It's regulation.
Why doesn't he
media.
take this opportunity to say every product with a Trump brand on it is going to be made in America? Why doesn't he take this opportunity to say any Trump hotel that's being built is going to be made with American steel instead? Well, his sons are certainly very vocal. They are also really good at messaging.
Businessmen.
This would be a great addition to the messaging he's trying to get out for the last 2 weeks. But why hasn't that happened?
America, that'd be great. But I want to pivot actually to something Morgan brought up, and that is what the economic structure is going to look like in the future, especially for millennials and our generation specifically. And one of the things that, look, I love coal miners. I love those industries that made Americans middle class and successful. But I get nervous, Morgan, when I feel like there's political messaging that's based in nostalgia, kind of to Eric's point, when it's based in yesteryear, when what we all know, whether we like it or not, is we have to get ready to move forward with some of the things that you're working on. And can you talk a little bit about what the messaging can be politically around what that looks like?
Well, see, I actually disagree with you slightly, Eboni, because I do think that Donald Trump's messaging I think it was important in the election because, let's be honest, there is a whole forgotten part of America that finally felt like someone feels their pain. When you look at what happened in Ohio yesterday, but I actually think it's okay. I know people are saying, but you're promising things that are never going to happen. You're looking back to yesteryear.
Well,
but when you look at young
things that'll never happen, though, Morgan. But how do we start transitioning, gently and compassionately into what we know the future economic situation is going to look like?
I can help here
Okay.
by doing exactly what Trump is doing, by removing regulations, by making this country a more business-friendly environment. Right now, it's cheaper to produce this LED screen for Apple. It's cheaper to do it in China unless you remove the barriers that we've set. High taxes, corporate tax rates, high minimum wages. That's a barrier here as well. You lower those barriers, they'll bring jobs back here. The economy survives, and as the economy gets better, wages go up because they have to compete for workers.
Got to guess, Jehmu, you disagree with the minimum wage argument Mr. Bolling just made.
Well, that's how you actually boost wages, is by making sure that you have a living wage. But at the end of the day, what we're looking at is that, yes, these regulations are being taken away from companies that have monopolies in different markets. We need to be bringing back competition, and that's what Democrats have been saying all this week with a better deal. How do we make sure that small businesses have a chance? Well, this can't just be about the big dogs.
It's a lot harder for small businesses.
The little dogs.
It's a lot harder for small businesses if they have to fill out all this environmental paperwork, regulations. They'll start their business somewhere else, or companies won't want to come here. And also with the minimum wage, yeah, you can artificially raise the wages of whoever has the jobs, but you see it every time. Companies have to lay off people or cut people's hours because the wages are artificially raised.
That better deal now. Come on, Jehmu. Let's talk about that, because I was hopeful that there was going to be an economic message coming from my Democratic Party friends, and I found it disappointing because, once again, it started off promising, and then ultimately it slid into something that, quite frankly, sounded a lot like socialism. It sounded a lot like income inequality. Can you explain that messaging to me? Because we don't all work the same, so why should we all have the same income?
A better deal is focused on three things: boosting wages, making sure that our workforce has the skills that they need, and making sure that we can also lower costs. When you look at the fact, this might be something we all agree on, beer. 90% of the beer made in America, sold in America, is made by two companies. Even in the explosion of all of the craft beers that are out there and the options we have, two companies. So 90% of the market. That cannot be the case. And so a better deal is about helping small businesses
by busting up.
Yes, some people need to be busted up.
How does that boost wages?
President Trump could be tough on that.
How does it boost wages or reduce costs? It's beyond me.
Well, it's reducing the costs that families have to pay for everything that they're doing. Not that beer should be their number one expense in their household.
It is in some households.
This is a judgment-free zone, Jehmu. That's fine. Just saying. Want to roll.
So Democrats want to take your Bud Light away. I mean, that's what I just learned.
No, they want to divest Bud, Anheuser-Busch into smaller companies. Guess what happens to your bottle of beer or your keg? The price of it goes up, Jehmu.
Nope. Eric, now you know this. With more competition, prices go down. Come on, Eric. That's economy number 101.
Jehmu, listen, if you can buy in bulk, you're going to buy in bulk, and you're going to keep your input costs down. You know this. This is economics 101.
For the first time, more companies are dying than are actually being built. That is a problem. We cannot just shore up
That is
the big dogs.
the most
We
ridiculous.
cannot
I love
just
you, but that is the most ridiculous comment
It's
you've
a-
made
it's a
yet
reality.
this hour.
It is a
It's
reality.
always been the case. There's always been at least a 4 or 5 to 1 companies failure rate to the one that survives. That's America.
No, that's not
you're not
America.
gonna get
What
more
built America, what built the middle class, are small businesses. So let's give them a fighting shot.
And make it easier with more regulations. It doesn't make any sense. Look at California. Look at how hard it is. Businesses are fleeing California. And if we have something like that on a federal level, businesses will be fleeing the country. We are seeing more business involvement here because of lower regulations. It just makes sense that it's easier to start a business, even if you're a small business, if you don't have such a strong regulatory burden.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's difficult to argue that we should pursue more Democrat policies over the next year or two for small businesses. Whenever the Democrats have had their chance for the past 8 years, and that's why we have Obamacare, and that's why we had higher regulations. So the president and Republicans in the Senate and the House were elected because the Americans clearly would like to try new and different policies. There's not a small business owner or someone in a corporation that I talk to or that I work with that does not think that it's time to have something new, to have a change, especially in these regulations.
Small business owner is my mother, and one of the reasons is she, lifetime Democrat, voted for Barack Obama twice, and then ultimately switched and voted for Donald Trump. Jehmu, was the tax regulations were killing her. The Obamacare requirements for a certain number of employees were killing her business and her profits. So, what would the Democrat answers be if 2018 is viably on the table for them around that relief to the small business owner that just says, hey, you know what? Need some tax relief?
I think that's absolutely what a better deal is about. It's how do we make sure that the beneficiaries of this are small businesses, that the beneficiaries are the ones who don't already have most of the wealth in this country.
And I looked through the better deal because, again, I was hopeful and excited about it. When I heard it was coming, I still saw really, really crushing and suppressive tax rates. You know what I'm saying? And when you can't keep your pocket in your money and you're a small business owner, how do you grow the business, to Eric's point? How do you reinvest? How do you hire more people so you have more jobs?
Right. Well, one way is by having a living wage. Raising the minimum wage means there's more money in the pockets. More money in the pockets of consumers, so that when they go and spend it at the local stores that they're in their community,
she can't afford it.
Those small businesses.
Yeah, so we're with Scott Walker's at the podium now. We're gonna take that.
Wisconsin with 2 N's. Wisconn Valley in fact, the region we will call Wisconn Valley will become the new global home to cutting-edge technology and innovation. Wisconn Valley will help us attract top talent from across the country and around the world. Wisconn Valley will help us with one more tool to keep our college and high school graduates in the state of Wisconsin instead of going beyond our borders. This is exciting and transformational. And in addition to thanking Terry and his great team from Foxconn and Sony and all the other great, and Sharp, excuse me, boy, I blew it again. I got to pay attention to that. To Sharp, having seen their great facilities, I want to particularly thank the President of the United States. Because as Terry alluded to, the President in late April met with Terry and his team. The next day, a number of our folks from Wisconsin gathered together in the office of the Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, who's a fellow Cheesehead, and we started this great journey together. We've had multiple meetings. We've had great discussions. Jared and Reed and the rest of the team here at the White House did a fabulous job. We've been back and forth. The Foxconn team has been all over the state of Wisconsin, worked with our regional local partners. It's been a great success story, and we made a great trip over to see Terry and his team. And when he talks about that 8K, it is phenomenal. It is some of the most amazing technology in the world, and we're proud to say it's going to be made in this great state of Wisconsin. So together, we had a special bond built, and that started because the President said, we want to build this kind of technology in the United States. It just so happened, it was kind of nice that about a week or so before the visit that Terry and the team made here to the White House, the President had been at Snap-on Tool in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and had said, as Reince was asking about what that spot was down there, Reince filled him in, and he told Terry and the others it would be nice to build something like that right in that area in southeastern Wisconsin. So that's exactly what we're doing here today. We could not be more thrilled. It's been a tremendous effort, a tremendous team. I want to thank two of my top cabinet members, Mark Hogan and Scott Neitzel, as well as my chief of staff, Rich Zipper, are here, and all that they represent in the state of Wisconsin. I want to thank our leaders in the legislature, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Senate President Roger Roth, who are here, as well as thanking Minority Leader Peter Barca, who's been a great advocate on this as well. And I particularly want to thank the members of the congressional delegation from Wisconsin, starting with the dean of the delegation, Jim Sensenbrenner, Congressman Duffy, Congressman Gallagher, Congressman Grothman, Senator Baldwin, and Senator Johnson. They have been tenacious in working on this project with us for the good of everyone in the state, Republican and Democrat and everyone in between. We all win with this. And certainly a big part of that team is someone we're very proud of, someone who grew up down the road from me, flipping burgers at McDonald's just like I did. He was just in Janesville and I was in Delavan. But the Speaker of the House of Representatives has been an advocate all the way through. He called Terry, he reached out to the team, he had dinner with us. He made the case about why this is exceptional to do business in the great state of Wisconsin. He's a champion for the people of the 1st Congressional District. He's a champion for the people of the great state of Wisconsin. He's a champion for the great people of this great country. My friend, the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you. Really well done. Wow. What can I say? This is a great day for American manufacturing. You know, and for southeastern Wisconsin, this is an absolute game changer. It means more jobs and more security and more prosperity for families. It is another example of how our region is truly a manufacturing powerhouse. It truly is. Look, I too want to take this opportunity to thank President Trump for his leadership. I remember the day when Reince called me after they were in Kenosha at Snap-on Tools. Scott just mentioned the story, and seeing the space of some of our shuttered factories, talking about how the president was so focused on making sure not only we bring manufacturing jobs back to America, but that we bring manufacturing jobs back to Wisconsin. One thing we know about this president is how committed he is to reviving American manufacturing and bringing jobs home. This right here shows actual results, getting it done. Every time we talked about this, he was so engaged and so willing to get the work done to get it to where we are right here. I want to thank our quarterback of this effort. I want to thank our governor, Scott Walker. Governor Walker quarterbacked this effort. Under Governor Walker's leadership, we have seen Wisconsin manufacturing make a huge comeback, and this is the topper of all toppers. When he asked us to get involved in talking to Foxconn, I could not have been more excited. Chairman Go and his team, they have been incredible throughout this entire process. Terry, I want to thank you for your commitment to the people of Wisconsin. Thank you. Your vision, Terry, for building high technology, high skilled manufacturing right in the heart of America, it is truly impressive. I cannot wait for Americans to see what this is all about. I cannot wait for Wisconsinites to see the true impressive vision that this represents. We cannot wait for this partnership to begin. And at this time, I want to introduce someone who is no stranger to the potential of Midwest manufacturing. And that is my old colleague as well, and great friend, and a great advocate for American workers, and that is my friend and our Vice President Mike Pence.
Governor Walker, Speaker Ryan, Senator Johnson, Secretary Mnuchin, Secretary Ross, Chairman Go. members of Congress who join us today of the House and Senate, distinguished members of the state legislature in Wisconsin. On behalf of the First Family, welcome to the White House. And thanks to the leadership of President Donald Trump, welcome to a historic day for American jobs in the American heartland. You know, since the very first day of this administration, President Trump has been busy. Rolling back federal red tape, unleashing American energy, working to lower taxes, rebuild our infrastructure, and give the American people the world-class health care they deserve. And job creators have responded to the president's agenda with optimism and action. Businesses large and small have created more than 800,000 new jobs since President Trump took office. Company after company are announcing record investments, billions of dollars and thousands of jobs, and today's announcement here at the White House is just the latest vote of confidence in our president and his agenda and our partners at the state level. And companies from across this country and across the wider world are going to continue to invest in American jobs and American workers and America's future, because under President Donald Trump, America is back. So, ladies and gentlemen, with gratitude for his leadership and his determination to make America prosperous again, it is now my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Please, thank you very much. I want to thank our great Vice President. Thank you to Speaker Ryan. We're working very, very closely. We're getting a lot done. Governor Walker has been so tremendous from the first time we announced that Terry even had a small amount of interest in going into this country someplace. And, you know, when you give that to Governor Walker, it's pretty much of a done deal. Ron Johnson, Senator, he's been so helpful to us on a thing that you haven't heard too much about recently, health care. And I think we're doing okay, Ron. I'm hearing good things. Good. I'm hearing good things. Secretary Mnuchin, Secretary Ross, all of the congressmen, the great congressmen, and senators we have in the audience, thank you very much. And thanks especially to my friend, one of the great business men anywhere in the world, Terry Go. I would see Terry and I'd say, Terry, you have to give us a couple of those massive, these are massive places that you do such great work with, and he's going to be doing that in a state that's very close to my heart, Wisconsin. So we're very happy. One of the big job producers anywhere at any time, Scott. So I know it's going to be fantastic for the people. This is a great day for American workers and manufacturing, and for everyone who believes in the concept and the label made in the USA. Today, I'm pleased to announce that Foxconn, a world leader in manufacturing for computers, communications, and consumer electronics, one of the truly great companies of the world, will build a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility for the production of LCD panel products in Wisconsin, investing many, many billions of dollars right here in America and creating thousands of jobs. And I mean American jobs. That's what we want. Another big investor in our country, Steve Wynn, would you stand up? He's raising so much money for our great Republican Party. Andrea, please stand up. Please, thank you. Thank you, Steve. Did a great job. You've done a great job, Steve. Thank you. Foxconn will invest in southeast Wisconsin, while a larger facility is constructed over the coming years. And that facility is currently under negotiation. It will be about the biggest there is anywhere. The company's initial investment of more than $10 billion will create 3,000 jobs at a minimum, with the potential for up to 13,000 jobs in the very near future. The construction of this facility represents the return of LCD, electronics, and electronic manufacturing to the United States, the country that we love. That's where we want our jobs. To make such an incredible investment, Chairman Go put his faith and confidence in the future of the American economy. In other words, if I didn't get elected, he definitely would not be spending $10 billion. His great company has seen our, you see exactly what I'm saying, our administration's work to remove job-killing regulations. He's been watching. To institute Buy American and Hire American, and all of those policies, and to pursue the steps necessary to revitalize American industry, including repealing and replacing Obamacare. We better get that done, fellas, please. Mike, we need that so badly. Cutting taxes, fixing our trade deals, and rebuilding our infrastructure. We'll be submitting an infrastructure bill in the not very distant future. We're going to be submitting a tax bill in the very near future. When this investment is complete, Foxconn has the potential to create more manufacturing jobs than we've seen in many, many decades. Chairman Go, I thank you for your investment in the American worker. They appreciate it. They will not let you down. They never let us down. There is nobody like the American worker. Terry Go told me that he believes in America, and he really believes in America. And that as a great entrepreneur, one of the greatest in the world, by the way, he won't say it, but I'll say it, one of the great entrepreneurs of the world, he has a real bond with the administration and with Americans. Foxconn joins a growing list of industry leaders who understand that America's capabilities are limitless and that America's workers are unmatched and that America's most prosperous days are just ahead. We are going to have some very, very magnificent decades. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Terry, and thank you to Foxconn. God bless the United States of America. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, you heard the president. Can't really argue with that. Can't really argue with jobs. They're good. People like to have them, right, Eric? This is where he really, really looks his best.
So very quickly, he announced what we talked about a little bit earlier, $10 billion investment, 3,000 jobs, going up to 13,000 jobs if they arrange that other big deal. And that's the point I'm trying to make right here, deal. Donald Trump is cutting deals to bring jobs back to America. Look at what's going on. By the way, he talked about tax reform, but another day. 21,700 in the Dow. It's up 19% since he was elected. Business confidence at its record high, maybe not a record, maybe in the last 20 years, confidence businesses have in their future. That's what he's all about. That's what matters to America. You know what you didn't hear for the last 30 minutes? Russia, not one.
No.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel like a relief, Eric, yes. And you know what? I talked earlier this week on this program about Americans just wanting to do well, you know, and to your point, Kat, it can't be argued with. You know, I think in this country for far too long, we've really kind of demonized success, and people have been made to feel bad or guilty about doing well. And I think that's a dead message. I think that nobody wants to hear it. It's not aspirational. And I think so much of really a successful message at this point has to be rooted in that type of professional and economic and aspirational type of doing well and being progressive in that way.
Jimmy, you want to weigh in on that?
Well, what comes with doing well is allowing more people access to those same ladders that built amazing companies, that built this amazing economy. And what has happened when you have workers who their productivity is up and profits are up, but none of that is coming down to them. It's only going to CEO pay. That is what the problem is, because I'm a first-generation American. I've lived the American dream, and my parents were undocumented immigrants.
Right, but Jimmy, you do well.
And it was because of all of those opportunities that are slowly being stripped away.
Wages are up. Hourly wages up. Weekly wages are up. Monthly wages are up. I don't know what you're talking about. I always say it's not. It is getting to the average worker.
All right. We're going to say goodbye to our specialists here. Thank you both for joining us. Morgan Ortagus and Jehmu Greene, thank you both. Don't go away. The Fox News Specialist is coming right back.
We're laughing because that is not the right script to be reading. Time for...
Okay.
Wait, what? Okay, I'll kick things off. I just wanted to thank everyone out there. The book, The Swamp. I just got notified right now we are on the New York Times bestseller list for the fourth week in a row. We hit it the first week right away. We've been out 4 weeks. We're on the New York Times for 4 weeks. That's the wrong full streak. But hey, we're working on stuff. It's going to get better. I promise you it's going to be good. Kat, you're up.
All right, so vending machine company in Wisconsin, about 50 employees have agreed to let the company microchip them so they can use the microchips in their hands to use the copy machine and buy snacks and log into their computers. I wouldn't do that. I'd just bring money to buy snacks.
I know why. Because you know they're going to follow you. They're going to find out where you go, how much time you're spending in the bar.
Yes, how much time you're spending, where you are, what you're doing. Plus, can't you just use a copy machine like with your hands normally? Just put in a code?
No, you know there's going to be some sort of blood alcohol test in that thing somehow where they know exactly what we're up to.
I agree.
I'm against that, too.
There we go.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I agree. I wouldn't let it.
I wouldn't.
Okay, so I was looking up something on my phone. This is because there's a Fox News story that talks about a former fourth runner-up to the Miss USA pageant and her history as a former Hooters girl, and this was getting a lot of attention. And I wanted to share that I, too, am a former Hooters girl. And I'm one of those people you hear about that puts themselves through law school, goes on to become a lawyer, doctor, engineer. You? That's me, right there, second from the right. Yes, wearing some blonde highlights. That was a bad face. Don't judge me.
North Carolina?
This is North Carolina. This is Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I waited tables again as a Hooters girl in law school. It was one of the only restaurants that opened post-Katrina. I was a second year during Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and we were open selling wings, fries, and beer. So, yes, Hooters can put you through law school. That is a true story.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. I had no idea.
That's what's called Wait What?
You can wait what?
Yeah, wait what? I was a Hooters girl.
Hey, can I just talk about this news that just came out? I'm not positive. Don't hold me to it. It's not confirmed. Sean Spicer has been in talks to to appear on Dancing with the Stars?
No.
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 No, yes. Yeah.
My
That's
day
a
just
wait,
got
what?
so much
Sean
better.
Spicer.
That's it, yeah.
Dancing with the Stars. Now, I can see you two and Dancing with the
I'm
Stars.
really uncoordinated.
Me too.
WTS. I'm thinking maybe both
No,
of you
we
guys.
talked about this when Geraldo was on Dancing with the Stars, Eric, and I said I would love to give him a hard time, and I would do no better.
I hope that's true.
I will unequivocally tell you could not, 100% you couldn't do worse.
Geraldo!
He was the first one out.
I think you did great,
By
Geraldo.
definition, you couldn't do worse.
Oh,
All right, that's it. We're going to leave it right there. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you follow us on social media at SpecialistFNC on Twitter and Facebook. Remember, 5 o'clock will never be the same. Brett Baer loves us for throwing the show to him this way. Special report right now.